Legacy by John. Good to see you, sir.
Well, good to see you too.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I got to say I appreciate you because you were the one that inspired me to do all this, turned me on to it. We go back since we were little kids, high school football. And, there's this camera. You inspired me to get this camera, this setup, the mic, learning the game. And here we are, what we talked about a year ago or so. Now we're finally starting to record, get our voices out there.
I gotta say too, over the past couple years, us having our backyard cigar conversations, got me to actually start recording as well again. Because I had started a YouTube channel my channel goes back to 2015.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I just created videos, and then I think I was insecure about it. Part of that goes to I felt like I was talking to be the person who I wanted to be, but I wasn't that person yet, so it didn't feel authentic.
Right.
So I felt insecure about posting it because mentally I didn't really feel like I was the person that I was portraying myself to be. Yeah. So I just had some of my videos and stuff, and then just our conversation. We'd have so many conversations. I'm like, man, this should be recorded. To the point where I was like, what are we doing?
Yeah, totally.
We might as well just. The difference between us setting this camera up is literally 20 seconds,
right,
versus what we normally do anyway.
Right. Yeah, and I'm with you. I'm totally with you because, I think about is that this is what gentlemen are talking about all across the board. The stuff that we're discussing, former athletes, men in corporate, younger guys trying to make it, dating, career, money, religion, culture, all that good stuff.
Yeah. 100%. It's crazy, and the thing that it started, the relationship started on board drills playing football.
Yeah, 100%.
So now we're talking about these topics now. And football being probably the thing we don't talk about like that.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we established early how we both feel about football, and let's just move on from that.
Which I think is a great segue because we've always talked about it, and let's get it out of our system.
Right.
About football and our thoughts on it. I shared with you some years ago what I think, which is essentially, I'll just kind of summarize it, but I'll let you drive here. But I think it's good at the little league, high school level, because a bunch of guys, you're learning good lessons, how to overcome, how to achieve adversity, things of that nature, making lifelong friends, right? Look at us, among other things. But once you get into college and in the league, it's degenerate, right? It's that you are the product they are abusing over and over. It's not good for the guys, even if they make it to the league. It's just this huge cliff that occurs where they're going to struggle with their job and high divorce rates. It's like, I forgot which one it is, but one of them, it's like 70 or 80% divorce rate, 70 or 80% go broke rate, right? So looking back at it now, especially playing in the SEC, it was degenerate. It was a waste of time. I wish I was, and I'll hand it over to you. I wish I was like a nerdy kid studying computer science or something like that, like something really that the market rewards. Oh, that's not nice.
All right.
Yeah. All right.
Just let it
shut
rock.
that off.
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah,
that's life.
That. Yeah, that's life.
Let me sign this my phone actually. It's funny, right? Because just to kind of echo what you said, for me, I felt very similar, but I didn't really get there until kind of my sophomore year of college. But coming out of high school, there was just a little bit of the realization everybody's not going to make it to where their goal is, right? So
right.
It's I worked really hard, and I put in the work I feel that it would take to get to the Division I level, but it didn't work out like that for me. But
right.
I'm lucky that I didn't in many ways because of the experiences of not just you, but a lot of our friends and what they went through. It was this wasn't a one-off thing. It was everybody I know had some sort of ridiculous story
right.
of what was going on,
right.
and then they had to overcome that or not.
Right.
And it's just crazy because it was at every level too.
Right.
So these are really, wait, this is happening at the D2 level too? Oh, this happens at the D3 level too. This happens at NAIA schools. Like, you don't even have people going to your games, but like you're still dealing with. I remember I was just talking with another guy who I work with. He's a financial planner, and he's like, I just think it's BS that, you put kids in a situation to where they don't even have enough money to eat. This is back in our day,
Right.
when you couldn't get a job, when like you couldn't,
Right.
you couldn't, anything you did was illegal when it came to money. So it's like you have guys out here starving and robbing so they can eat ramen noodles at night
Right.
because the dining hall's closed.
Right.
And this generation, they don't understand that life.
Right.
But it's just the fact that once you realize you're the commodity, I decisively made a switch. But I was lucky that our athletic director, Caruso, he steered me away from going the Division I walk-on earn a scholarship route. I was like, listen, bro, just either get your academic money and use them for they're using you for.
Right.
Like he put that in my head in high school.
Yeah, that's base.
So I went to college with a mindset that I'm going to use them to do as much academic accolades as possible, which I didn't really start doing until my junior year.
Right.
But once my focus got off of that, it was definitely a lot better than, and the injuries piling up and like, just like I know I have issues today from like the damage I put on my body.
100%. Yeah.
And so it's just,
Same
is
here.
the damage on the body worth the gain if you don't transfer skills to something else?
Right.
And I think if you can transfer skills to another field that you learn there, then great. But I think there's too many people who have not learned how to take the hard work that they displayed on the gridiron and put that into the real world.
Exactly.
And they don't know how to turn that
Exactly.
switch on to something different.
Right.
And then therefore it becomes harmful because they sit reflecting of the past of when they used to be X.
Right.
And it's like, you have to realize that's never going to be that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And another problem I have too, you were making me think about this while we were talking, is that when, at least for me in Division I and the SEC, I always heard them say, get the degree and graduate, right? Which that is kind of apparent on its head. But what I never heard them say was, study something the market will reward you to do, right? It's not just a degree, because what if it's like, Latin American feminist studies? What job am I going to get with that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. Well, what if it's sociology and I'm trying to be, in a corporate world? I'm trying to get into marketing. Why? Well, if you're trying to do that, why did you study sociology? Oh, I was an athlete. Okay, well, but Jane over here was an athlete, actually studied marketing with great grades. Why would I hire you? Oh, but I was the starting offensive. How many internships you did? Well, none. I was too busy. Well, you're fucked.
Right.
Why would I hire you?
Right. And then in your mind, you're thinking you're a top athlete because you're football. So at football, obviously,
Right.
you're the top athlete of the school in the pecking order because of the money you bring in. But like you said, Jane, who was a cross-country runner, who did an internship,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden the right degree, well, she still puts NCAA athlete on her resume too.
Right.
And your NCAA athlete doesn't weigh more than hers.
Right.
It's still an extracurricular activity, and you both did it. You both got your letter,
Right.
and so what?
Yeah.
Jane took the coursework to be good at the skill, and
Well-
you're thinking that because you played football,
Yeah.
that you should just be, and you're taught that as a football player.
Exactly.
Like, we're taught that as football players that, well, because you're a football player, you're going to get
Preferential treatment. Yeah,
treatment
yeah.
that others don't get.
Which is not true.
Until the real world hits and nobody cares.
And nobody cares.
Nobody
cares. And
nobody
that-
cares you're
And
good
that's
at football.
something that, whatever younger kid is listening, a teenager, I hope they understand this. Those coaches are there because they can't do anything else. Okay? These are not former attorneys, doctors, corporate men, businessmen, entrepreneurs that made millions and millions of dollars. No, they stayed in the same system that they grew up in, either for the love of the game ever since they were a little boy, and I can't fault them for that. But there's also another big chunk of them is because they tried to go in that real world, like that cliff I was talking about. They try to go in that real world. That cliff hits them. It's a miserable experience because first and foremost, there's an identity crisis that occurs that no one talks about. And then secondly, you graduate, or let's say after the league, you put in 10 years, whatever, and you're trying to apply for a job, and they say, well, what have you been doing the last 10 years? Oh, I was the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Awesome. The fuck does that have to do with IT operations? What
Right.
experience do you have in that, And then these guys are like, again, 70 or 80% getting divorces. Because if you think about it, the chicks only knew them when they were balling. And now you go from millions of dollars annually down to what, 40, 50, 60,000. And that's miserable, right? They're going to leave you. And then you're going broke. Well, but that's not going to happen. So what are you going to do? You're going to you're a fucking restaurant owner now?
Right.
You're a fucking entrepreneur? What do you know about any of that? And these guys, like idiots, they're blowing through their shit and they go broke.
Yeah, and you have a small percentage who they have that natural charisma and that brand to them, and they're just good at sales, and they figure it out and they make it.
Right.
And so you look at them like, well, so-and-so transitioned to being this, so I can do it too. It's like,
Right.
But like they actually have like that persona about them that they're just meant for the camera. They're just
Right.
meant for.
Right.
So if they go into a job selling cars, they're going to be the guy that everybody wants to buy a car from just because of who
Right.
they like, their aura. And
Right.
those type of guys are, they would have been just fine without football. Football just enhanced them.
Yeah, exactly.
Those
Exactly.
those type of guys have that character where they would have been fine without football. They could have literally like made to the bottom of the top. They could have went to go sell Fords and one day be a
Right.
CEO of Ford because they
Right.
just have that charisma. But for the 90% of everybody else, who, and then it's just unfortunate that so many of them put academics so far in the back burner
Right.
that they have the intelligence, but
Right.
they don't have the hours of repetition of doing anything, cerebral.
Yeah, and
outside
the
of
mindset
football
too.
But
Yeah.
to understand, to play college football, there's a level of cerebral you have
Right.
just to understand the playbook.
Right.
So you have it, but you just never did it in anything else to transfer that analytic skill to something else.
Yeah.
And that's it's sad because they don't know that what they don't know what they don't have. They're just not aware of it, and you see it from like former teammates.
Yeah, and
stuff.
it's not, I agree with you, and it's not cultivated either. First, let me say this before I draft off of that. Is it me? Because you're way into it. You're way more into it than I am. Because after I stopped playing, I totally disassociated. But true or false, in your perspective, that for some reason in football, like you barely hear this in golfing, you barely hear this in maybe baseball or whatever, or soccer, international soccer, right? But every level of football, high school, college, NFL, every year there's always scandals, right? Coaches doing nasty shit, players doing the wrong thing, and especially like the younger they are, the more grace you have for them, right? But my point is, there's always the most degenerate, and when I speak, I don't mean just the players. I'm talking about everybody, from owners to front office to coaches to support staff to players, right? Mm-hmm. There's always fucking stories about nasty stuff that's happening, degenerate shit that's happening, people getting in trouble, corruption, money being made illegally, yada yada yada. And it's such a nasty little business, you know what I mean? And before I switch back, first and foremost, no coach in their right mind when they're recruiting goes into those homes and say, "Oh, I want your son to play for me, right? I'm gonna give you scholarship." They don't say it's a 1-year contract.
They don't
make
say
it,
that.
They make it sound like it's a 4-year deal.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like the lie already starts from jump.
Right.
And real quick, back to
And then you get into oversigning in the summer.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a whole
A whole bunch
you don't
of
even make it
cuts.
out of
Yeah.
August.
Yeah. And the go back one, just so I can address it, and I say this with nothing but love and respect. There was a lot of guys, okay, that I played with, and how do I say this? They really needed football.
Right.
They really needed football, okay? And the sad thing was, football truly opened the door for them for higher education. But instead of the adults in the room saying, listen, buddy, listen, Johnny, listen, Joe, right? This is a great opportunity for you. embrace and inhale in the education and get something that the market rewards. Walk out of here with the degree that the market is hiring for, and help break cycles of poverty and issues, and meet yourself a nice smart girl that's going places. You guys go off, make a great family, right? Instead of leaning into that, what do? No, football first. The league. You're going to make it in the league. Play hurt, play injured. You know what I mean? And again, with all that in a pot, and we're just scratching the surface, that's dirty. That's dirty to me.
Yeah, I mean, out of all sports, so it's like, I think one of the issues is it's like a melting pot, not a melting pot, but it's like a combustion chamber. The reason you get like the issues that happen, right? So to strap on a helmet, and I only speak about when we played because it's different now, and to have the mentality that you have to have, that I'm going to go out here and hurt people for fun, because that's what we did.
Right.
We enjoyed hurting people. Like, I took pleasure in dominating somebody else. So, like, it takes a certain person that wants to even play a sport like that.
Right.
So, like, we already all had issues.
Right.
We all had an issue, right? Some of us had other skills that we all needed football at the time. We didn't need football, though, to make it. But some did.
Right.
Some without football wouldn't have gotten to college.
Totally.
Now, if you were intelligent and had good grades, football was that cherry on top that just guaranteed you weren't going to pay for college. Because you had grades and you're a decent football player, like, oh, you're not paying for college.
Right.
So it was me understanding that, because I didn't play till high school. I didn't play Little League football. My parents didn't want me to. But I knew that all I got to do was go out there and hit somebody and I'm going to go to scholarship. Like, say less.
Yeah.
So for me, if I didn't have football in my life in high school, I would have been outside taking out my anger on other people. Until I learned how to control that.
Right.
So I know that. But other than that one aspect of life, I'm just lucky I had a couple of people that were adults in my life that kept me grounded. But it's a slippery slope that you see where it's just, there's way more to it than just making it to the league.
Right.
And like you said, like, there should be somebody saying not just get the degree, but no, get a degree that you can use.
Right.
Because you have the resources. You got the tutors, you got the study halls, like, you have everything where you can succeed in whatever degree you want.
Right.
So just, why not take the computer science degree? But you know what it is?
A business degree.
Well, let's just be real.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other side of it. Going a little bit deeper, then I want to move topics.
Right.
There are some coaches that don't want you taking certain programs because they interfere with football activities.
Correct.
So, hypothetically, science labs.
Right.
So usually most STEM courses have a lab component, and that lab component falls in afternoon practice time in the season.
Right.
And so if you took a lab, then you would be late to practice. And some coaches, and I know personal friends, I'm not going to say schools or names, but they wanted to do things in the medical field, and their coach told them, you're here for football, not for that.
Right.
And they were told to change majors.
Right.
And so what does that do to a kid who was raised in a two-parent home that was told that academics come first, but he's away from home, but the guy who's flipping the bill is telling him, no, football comes first.
Or even a kid that comes from a challenged environment, but has the wherewithal to say, oh my God, this is a great opportunity for me. Not only just the sport, but I'm going to get a degree. I'm going to be the first, or I'm going to be the second. I want a good life. I want to, when I walk out of here, I want a real job and make some real money and meet a nice girl and blah, 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 blah. Right?
Right.
Well, but that only reinforces what I'm saying is that they don't think like, they being the coaches and the staff, they don't think like that because they've never been in the real world.
Right.
They've only stayed in the little bubble of football. So they literally don't know to say, it's not just a degree, but it's something that the market rewards.
They don't even think like that because they never had to be in a situation where the market rewarded. Because let's be real, coaching jobs are about who you know and relationships. And so if you have a coach on your coaching lineage or tree
Right.
that is successful somewhere and they get a promotion, they get to bring their guys with them.
Right.
So a lot of guys get brought up off the coattails of somebody else's success. They learn new systems, they branch out on their own. But
Right.
it's a very, oh man, I'm losing words. It's like not inbred, but
Incestuous.
nepotism.
Yeah.
There's nepotism in coaching. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nepotism in all areas of life.
Yeah.
But like to your point, a lot of them just are where they were really good grad assistants and they got into a good situation. So they never had to actually test their skills in the market.
Right.
So they don't even know when they don't know how to advise a kid.
Right.
And so I don't know if there's things you can put in place. I know some places have academic advisors or faculty advisors and stuff that are there, but kids not listen to their faculty advisor over their coach.
Right.
It's just the reality. Coach is like your pseudo parent when you're on campus.
Right.
So, and it's almost like that's the reason they visit your house and get that permission to be that role from your parents.
Right.
It's almost like they know what they're doing by.
Yeah, and they begin that relationship with a lie.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's starting at younger ages.
Right.
Especially with NIL and all this other stuff. But that's all
That NIL. Well, not to get too deep in that, but I am happy that kids can get NIL now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fuck the schools. Fuck the systems. I'm glad that the money's flowing. Now,
Get as much money as you can while you can and do something with it.
Correct. Here's my personal opinion about it, right? Because again, my whole thesis is that there's a cliff coming, and once you hit that cliff, it's a horrible fall. And, the minority ends up landing on their feet okay and building themselves out, but the majority struggle with it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, right, let's say, like Shador Sanders or these big time kids, right? Or, someone who's maybe not big time but making a little money. I argue that should be put in some type of trust or growth account that they cannot touch until 23, 24, something like that of graduation age, right? They have to live like a normal kid, let that grow, so that they're not blowing it and they're focusing on the most important thing, the degree that gets them the education. That's my personal opinion, right?
Yeah.
That the market rewards.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would strategically be the smart thing to do.
Because that teaches them a lot.
It's just hard.
Investment and retirement.
It teaches them a whole lot, but then it's the keeping up with the Jones effect of the guys that can afford to do a little bit more than the average guy on the team. So, like, when you got a quarterback making $7 million a year in NIL, and then other players making a couple $100,000, so the quarterback can afford to buy that $100,000 chain,
Yeah.
and it doesn't dent his pockets at all.
Right.
But the other guy blows half his check on the chain
Right.
to keep up, and that's kind of the same thing that happens in pro sports. And then when it comes to the financial advice, that gets tricky too, because there's a conflict between agents and financial professionals. And agents can be a little slimy and not want financial professionals to really give them real sound advice because, they're trying to direct them to spend money in entities that they have relationships with
Right.
and make them more money on the back end. And that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, well,
so,
right, but
and it's happening at a younger age. So, yes, what you're saying, that the trust would protect a lot of those things.
100%.
And I think that's where it comes to the importance of financial literacy in high school and middle school now, being ever more important to protect the talented kids that are athletes so they have some financial wherewithal. Because think about it, these kids are getting NIL deals before they ever took an economics or financial class ever in their life.
Correct.
Like you take economics for one semester your senior year. So out of the 18 required credits, it's half of one has to deal with money.
Right.
And that to me is asinine when money is interwoven in every area of your life once you graduate.
Exactly. Well, they want to keep you ignorant,
Right.
And I mean, now we're kind of touching on meta topics that you and I
Right.
talk about, but and maybe we can after this. But to start wrapping up the football topic, yeah, and if you think about it, right, like what a concoction of disaster that you're giving an 18-year-old. Again, I'm happy they're receiving it. It
Right.
just needs to be intelligently designed, right? That you're giving an 18-year-old kid pumping full of testosterone, hormones. He's horny as fuck. He's going to be impulsive. You know, I'm big man on campus. I'm the shit. I'm the big dog, right? And you're going to give them deals of not even the millies, right? But 400 grand. Yeah, 200 grand. 100 grand. 50,000. 10,000, right?
Right.
Like, still, to an 18-year-old kid, especially, like, first of all, even if you live middle class, what middle class to even impoverished child is just getting 10 grand tomorrow? Like, it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Like, how many Americans have 10 grand liquid to just pull out of the bank right
Correct. Yeah, great point. I mean,
Yeah,
I think the stat is most Americans can't even afford $1,000.
$1,000 emergency.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So just use 10 grand, right? You know, and you know, they get all this, right, and they're missing this opportunity of learning about investment, saving, you know, and more importantly, not just the money. A kid with 10 million, not just the money, but it's almost like giving a fish versus teaching them how to fish. I continue to focus on, in my arguments and my you know, statement is, they need to get that education for the job. Because again, there's a day, as we all know, Father Time's going to catch up, the lights are going to turn off, and then what do? And it gets even worse. Like in tech, we call it the golden handcuffs, right? It gets even worse. Let's say, God willing, you have a great career in the league, right? I'm repeating myself. But, you know, the day that all ends, what are you going to do next? And on top of that, if you're married,
Right.
you're about to go through a world of hurt. Because 8 out of 10 times, she's divorcing your ass, and she didn't build shit. She just moved in.
Man. So you're entitled to keep the lifestyle up.
And that's how you start blowing everything.
Yeah. And then if you were providing a certain lifestyle
Yeah.
that can be proved, then
And all these, and I'm looking at the camera, so if 1 or 2 kids even watch this, right? And all these fans that tell you how much they care and how much you demand, where are they when the lights turn off? They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you. You're just a piece of meat. These losers laying around on their couches,
breaking TVs when
breaking
you don't catch the ball.
TVs. You know what I mean? These are not the people you want the support from anyways. You know what I mean? These losers sitting around watching sports, watching other men achieving their dreams.
Oh, tell me how you really feel.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's not the type of iron that's going to sharpen you.
Okay, let's talk about that now, right? Okay, so when it comes to being productive with your time as a male, right? What are some things that you feel like are an utter waste of time? I think I can speak for you now and say that being a super fan of any sport would be a waste of your time as a male.
Yes, I think anything that's superficial, essentially.
It's like when would it be okay to watch sports? I guess like what would be that line of?
Yeah, and truth be told, I mean,
In your opinion.
we watched a few UFC fights. Listen, I think it's one of those things. Okay, like there's realism versus North Star, right? It's almost, I'll give a perfect example. As you know, as all our friends know, I don't drink. Now, can I? Yes. Like, will I 10 out of 10 times? No. 9 out of 10 times I'm not drinking, but unless it's like a birthday or we're really celebrating, sure, I'll join in on the imbibing, right? That's how I feel about distractions.
Oh,
right?
okay. All
It's that, okay, first of all, you asked a few questions. Number one, what are distractions? Anything that takes away from your time, liabilities, right? Like playing video games, and you're talking to a super nerd. I love computer games. I mean, you know my office. I have all the video game stuff there. Right. Video games, watching sports, women, you know, chasing girls. Like, if you're on the come up, you're not chasing girls. Chasing girls is a waste of time, money, and that sexual energy, you should be channeling it, you know, like a lightning rod, right? It shouldn't be coming out of the tip of your dick, but you should be channeling that,
Right.
you know, to achieving more, right? So it's things like that anything that consumes your time,
Right.
in that way, with no return on investment, no ROI, but rather doing things versus doing things that are investments, right? Learning to earn. So I'm a professional in the corporate environment, right? You know, I want to read, for instance, books that help me be a better speaker, a better presenter, okay,
Right.
with better hard skills and soft skills, right? I want to convert my free minutes into dollars.
Okay. Just like almost like, okay,
I
so
don't want to be wasting my time. I don't want to be spending my time money, because that's a currency.
right,
Time is a currency. You know, I don't want to spend my time currency, my chronological currency, on shit that has no ROI to it.
right,
Women is a consequence of your success. You know, being able to, yes, dick around every once in a while with your boys, watching the UFC fights, whatever, that's a consequence of your success. You know,
Right.
it's not that I'm just doing it just to do it for the fuck of it.
right. And it's I like how you tied it back to money because it's like, what's the ROI? So when you look at your money, right? Is the money that's not you're not daily using on necessities? Is it doing something for you, or is it causing you liability in your life? And you look at your time the same way with hobbies, the same way. If that hobby, for instance, it's not bringing you back anything. Like if you're playing video games because you're a streamer and you're getting paid for it, that's very different from the guy who's playing for 6 hours every night for a dopamine rush
Like someone we know, yeah,
because he's secretly not happy with
Right.
XYZ.
right,
And that's just like a lot of people. Like I mean, that was me. I realized it actually when I was transitioning from being principal to getting into finance. There was like a span for a month where I was like enjoying playing Grand Theft Auto because it was like I was getting dopamine spikes on like how much money I could make in one day,
right,
and seeing what was possible. And then like
Right.
I realized I'm like, wait, I'm like it like unlocked for me like this is why people love this so much because like you're building that character, and you're putting yourself in the shoes,
Yeah.
and you're getting that same good euphoria. And then I
Yeah.
realize the euphoria I get when I do successful things in my real life, but it's way better.
right.
So I'm like, wait, I'd rather focus on hitting milestones in my real life because
Exactly.
those euphoria moments are way better than the false dopamine.
Yeah, listen, and I love video games. Don't get me wrong. So, but this is why I have such a strong opinion of them. And I heard this phrase, and I'm starting to parrot it now. And I totally agree with it. Sports, video games, whatever. If I play a video game, like this is the phrase that bothers me, right? Is why would I do something that helps someone else realize their dreams? Like watching someone else achieve their dreams. Why am I not working on myself?
Right.
The video games, right? That I spend the money on the game, whatever. I'm helping those developers, that company that doesn't give a shit about me, them achieving their goals, them achieving their money, them making their money off me. Why am I not spending that time?
Yeah, where's your
to
dividend?
myself? Yeah, right. I want dividends and investment to myself. I should be doing things, not only material things, but conceptually, that's an asset to me, right? That pays me some way, somehow, right? Knowledge, experience, networking, intelligence, that I can monetize. And this is something I've been talking on my channel, right? But for me personally, it's not about what's one way to quantify success? It's money, right? Now, I'm someone definitely that, like, when I pray to God and stuff like that, I don't want money for money's sake. I want money, right? Because that can help buy and convert for me retirement, provisioning for my family, protecting my family, offering education to my children, etc.
Right.
I want the money. I'm working hard for the money to apply it to fruitful and good things for myself and others around me. Like, for example, I want a Cybertruck, right? But I have way more priorities in front of the Cybertruck rather than that vehicle itself.
Right. I fully get it. And those things can be your trophies for when you accomplished all those other priorities
Correct, because
first.
they're a consequence of.
Now that's a trophy that I can afford myself to give.
That's right.
Yeah. And I think it's... I like how you touched on God there for a second, because I don't think you can have true discipline without faith. And the reason why I say that, and it's a bold statement, because there's people that say, well, I'm an atheist and I'm rich. But that doesn't mean you're disciplined. It means you probably got rich accidentally. And here's why I say, or you got rich purposely by following godly principles, you didn't know were godly principles.
Right.
Because the reason I say that is to do the right things that set you up for the future, you have to have some sort of faith system that the future will be there to reward you. And if you don't have that, then you only live in the now. So people that have a lot of trauma and or people who don't believe in God live for the now. Because they don't believe that the future will reward their good works of today. I think you have to have faith for that, to do that. I think it takes faith that I'm going to put my money in this savings account for a future need for my son or my daughter, then I'm going to get a Cybertruck right now.
Right, exactly.
Because the Cybertruck, I get to feel it and enjoy it now.
Correct.
You know, when you go to the club and spend a lot of money, it's for the now.
Right.
You know.
Cardinal pleasures.
It's hard to tell a 24-year-old kid that, hey, bro, actually partying when you're 35 and you can afford to do it is way cooler than blowing your check at 25 than having to go, like, bartend or do whatever you got to do to get money in for food.
Right.
Like, it's way cooler when you can, like buy a bottle at a club and be like, I don't even feel like drinking it all and walk away.
Right, right.
That's a cool thing to do.
Right.
Like, you know, versus,
yeah.
you know, saying, like, hey, like, I got 20 on the bottle. What do you got? I got 30 on the bottle. I got this. Like, all right, we got a bottle. Like, now let's pray to God that, you know, we have the time of our lives tonight because we just cashed out.
Yeah, like you have to have it. Yeah.
Now, there's certain bonding experiences that come from those moments as a kid.
For sure.
But overall, too many people carry those behaviors their whole life. And they never actually refocus on being disciplined. And I think it's because people are just drifting away from a faith center. And it's not even telling you what to believe in, but the lack of faith. And if you just look at it, I mean, you know, I study more Black American statistics in general because I am. But there was a time where 90% of Black American households were married and went to church every Sunday. And that number is down to like the 20s or 40s right now. And like it shows in the culture. And so that's not just my culture, that's other cultures too, I'm sure. Yeah, totally. Those numbers are declining. And with the push of social media and, you know, everything being right now, everything's accessible right now already. So now it's even harder to teach delayed gratification in society that can provide you what you want right now.
Exactly. Well, and that's why, you know, I think the pop culture is a lie. It's manufactured, and they want people not building and believing in foundational things like institutions, like our religion, right? Like Christianity, marriage, family, things of that. Because all throughout history, from today in the modern era to thousands of years ago when we were, you know, cavemen or whatever, right? Those were the institutions that would carry us forward. That's the institutions that built society and civilization today. And now, you know, in the world that we live in, they want to lie to you. Don't get married. Have a bunch of kids out of wedlock, right? You know, like we talk about all the time, it's not about chattel slavery anymore. It's an attack on your mind, on your heart, on your critical thinking processes, right? Because they want you to be an obedient, non-critical thinking, economic, indentured servant.
Right.
You know what I mean? That just like someone plugged into the matrix. You're just a battery for the matrix. Don't question it. Don't break out of it. Do what we say. If not, you're a racist. You're a Nazi. You're this. You're that. We're gonna call you a whole bunch of names. You're an Uncle Tom. You know, you hate your own people. You know, you're an Americanized. You're a Gringo Latin person. Whatever. You know what I mean? They just want to shame you into conformity instead of doing the right things that God himself has told us to do, that our ancestors did, that ironically helped us get us to this position today. Yep.
Pop culture is essentially a lie.
It is a lie. It's still a lie.
When you look at anything, if you were to take an album of a bunch of old family photos, right? Like I would do the same, right? Look at like, you know, my great uncle, my great grandmas, my great greats, something like this, right? None of that reflects Sexy Red and Cardi B. I mean, you don't see images like that in the family photos because that wasn't the culture.
Right.
You don't see those in history. Yeah. But we're told that that's our culture. But culture has a historical context to it. And you don't see what is represented on TV in our history.
Right.
So how is it culture?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's manufactured, and I agree with you tremendously because, the halftime show that just passed. Now, for the individuals and their career, I'm happy for them. Bad Bunny, Ricky Martin was there. The artists. For the individuals themselves, good for them. But as a message, as something that's on TV that young people are looking at, especially young people and boys and girls, Latin boys and girls, because obviously that clearly wasn't for an English-speaking person. That was a shout out to the Latin people, right? And it's tokenism, in my opinion, by the way. But to a young Latin boy and girl, what did they show? Nothing but degeneracy. It was all a bunch of ass shaking. The lyrics were, kind of nasty. Like, oh, my auntie is asking me about a girlfriend here, a girlfriend there. No, thank you. I don't want to get married. Never to getting married. Stuff like that. What kind of messaging is that? It's a message of degeneracy.
Yeah,
and that's not Latin culture.
And you say tokenizing.
It is.
I took it as like the NFL's a multi-billion-dollar company, so I know that they have vast investments.
A nonprofit.
Yeah, they're not anymore. Actually, they're not. I found out they're not a nonprofit anymore. They got a lot of backlash and they switched to profit corporation.
So they're actually getting taxed.
Now they're getting taxed. Yeah.
Okay. Or are they using loopholes?
Whatever.
Right,
I mean, at least they don't have the status anymore.
Okay. Yeah.
But that's funny. I was talking to somebody and they didn't even know that.
Yeah, scumbags.
Like, what do you mean you didn't know? I'm like, yeah, for a long time they're a nonprofit organization.
I didn't know that, but that's what I'm saying. They do football attracts the biggest scumbags.
Right. So
yeah.
I think that they're making a push because if you think about it, every year they're having more and more overseas games.
Right.
And so they have to do something to get into the likes of a more global community. And I think that was a major push for that because now they should have attendance spikes when they do try to have games in Brazil, and games in Mexico, games in Venezuela.
Yeah.
I think that's their plan is to have more overseas games, not just in Europe, but throughout the rest of the world. And you have to, of some sort, get this almost like world, like we're like FIFA almost.
Right.
I think they want to be as big as FIFA.
So riddle me this one, right? Because I made some videos and shorts talking about this, and I was saying I think it's tokenism, it's degenerate. It was glorifying a degenerate subculture of Latin music, right? Yada, yada, yada. All right, so let me get this one straight. The same people who talk about white privilege and colonialism and oh my God, the Spanish and the English arrived and they conquered and this is not the land. Okay, right, colonialism. But is it not also a form of economic and cultural colonialism to pump the NFL into Latin America? Americanizing Latin sports? Is that not a form of colonialism in itself?
I mean, yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Because they're doing it in Africa right now, where, and I think it has two benefits, right? So, there are kids who grew up as NFL fans and now have an opportunity that they're expanding globally to get into football because that's their passion. But at the same time, if it ends up becoming the most popular sport and takes away what are cultural norms in that place, you've almost destroyed their culture and replaced it with yours from not because you care about them, but strictly for the money.
Right.
So it'd be different if, like, the NFL decided for the halftime show, we're going to have Trinidadians cricket team come out and play a match because we want to educate you guys on other cultures in the Caribbean.
Right.
That would be like, oh, wow, they care about other cultures because they're embracing it and assimilating it. But you're right. I think it's more of the other way around.
It's a form of colonialism. Of course
where it's a form of colonialism.
It is.
And I never thought of it that way, but yeah, because if it was about the other way around, then you would bring that culture to the stage.
Right.
Not try to use that culture to penetrate their market.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Correct. Yeah, and the NFL wants to be a part of it. The NFL, which is the American organization, and I say this all the time. I'm gonna go there, okay? The player base is mostly what? Black. Okay. But if you look at owners, you look at the front office, you look at the NFL itself, they're mostly
White.
Right. And which, by the way, I'm a conservative, so I'm not making this argument like, oh my God, colonialism or white
Right.
privilege.
We need DEI in the NFL.
I'm not making like a DEI argument. What I'm
Right.
saying is, so they want to talk about diversity and all this kind of stuff, and it's coming from the same people who can't even give opportunity to the race that even makes up most of the sport. You know, so you can't even do that here at home. You know, but yet I'm supposed to, you know, undersign that it's going to be like some great thing for Latin America.
Right.
You know, and it's almost like this: why does Latin America need American football? You know, I think they're totally fine. Like, what I don't understand. Like,
Yeah.
because the root answer is the following: the NFL wants to make more money. Therefore, they want to expand the customer base, right? Now, have we even asked that's what they want to do? Because if the customers actually wanted it, it would be all over that.
They already have it.
Yeah, and to your point, it would be like their own version, their own way, that very, very Latin, let's use Mexico, very Mexican, you know,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera. You know,
They would have their own already.
they'd have their own.
There's a reason that they play the sports they play. 'Cause
Right.
That's what they want to do.
Right, and that's just how their culture vibes. That's how you know everything in the pot kind of meshes out.
Yeah.
You know, and not only that, that's how their bodies are built.
Right. That's how they. Yeah.
You know,
We don't. Just even in the culture of how we feed athletes, and
right?
people don't eat like that.
Yeah, yeah. And there is a lot to it. Like for
There's
example,
lots.
and you know this because I know you're very into sports. But like, for example, for the like since we've been alive, I think even for like the last 60, 70, 80 years, the best world-renowned cross-country runners come from Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember, like Kenya or something like yeah. Second to none. You would have to add up the next couple few to even make up like what they're doing, right? You know what I mean? That's a certain culture. That's a certain environment, food,
Right.
expectations, you
Daily
know,
life.
daily life,
Carrying buckets of water here. There's like
history.
There's a
you
reason
know what
for
I'm
it.
saying? Right? I mean, look at hockey. What countries, you know, pretty much play hockey? It's the ones that have bigger bodies. United
And
States.
they have ice.
Yeah, Canada, the Russians, you know, some Europeans, so on and so on.
Places that are cold that support that.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's funny 'cause I grew up playing hockey down here, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest challenges is ice time.
Yeah.
But if you live in Canada, if you can't afford ice time and you can just afford skates, you can go skate on the lake.
Yeah, for
and play
sure.
hockey. Just like how you could in
Yeah.
South Florida
Right.
go to any grass field and run around and play football.
Yeah, it's very temperate. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you know, and so on and so on. I mean, look at rugby and American football. There's a certain body type. There's a certain culture that produces that body type. You know, the Maori from New Zealand. You know, very big people. They're into rugby. You know,
like the Samoans are into it
yeah,
too.
Samoans, Aussies. You know, et cetera, et cetera. Right? There's a reason why rugby it's not big in Latin America. That's not what they do. Now you go do soccer, yeah, they'll smoke your ass.
Right.
You know what I mean? With a little 12-year-old will smoke you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, any other topics you want to touch before our cigars go?
Well, I mean, we touched a few. I'm glad we had that football conversation.
Yeah, get it out the way.
Get that out of the way for the future stuff now.
Yeah.
I know we talked about, you know, wasting time, which is important to me, treating your time almost like your money. Just like foundational things I know that we agree upon, so we can kind of set that foundation for future conversations.
That's right.
That's really what I'm thinking about. You know, I think another major topic, we touched on it, about the chasing the girls thing, but like I do want to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because
We should also save that for another video.
And save that for a whole nother
yeah,
video.
dating. Yeah, I mean, we can touch on it here real quick as we're kind of wrapping up, landing the plane here. But yeah, what's a substrate of that you want to hit?
Well, I guess, what is the difference, right? Like, what advice do you give a young man? Kevin Samuels referred to them as Henrys. I like that term. High earners, not rich yet.
Yeah.
You're young, you don't have a family yet. You're on your way to the top. You have potential. The woman you choose is one of the big decisions you're going to make in
That's
your
right.
life.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, how do you avoid chasing what you want versus sifting through who wants you? And, how do you make that right decision as a young man? Because I think a lot of them, and including myself, have gotten it wrong to a extent, but didn't let it catastrophically ruin because they just like. But some guys do let it ruin them, and it's like So you may not pick the one the first time, the right one, let's say, but the person was still good enough, let's say.
Yeah.
That where they didn't ruin your life. But some guys get like ruined, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so
multiple ways too.
Yeah, multiple ways. Yeah. Mentally, financially, right. Spiritually, like
a divorce,
yeah.
Or they get addicted to the chase.
What do you tell that Henry, that young guy who's up on the rise, like how should he strategically date?
Yeah, I think it's multiple things. I mean, first and foremost, and look, I'm not blind to reality, right? You're a late teenager, 19, 20, let's say, or you're young 20-something or a middle 20-something that's becoming a Henry. Say.
Yeah, like 20-something, like 24, 25.
Yeah. So I'm kind of talking to the late teenager to a 20-something-year-old. And I fully understand what I'm about to say next is easier said than done. But it's almost like you shouldn't be thinking about women at all. You should be working and focusing on yourself. I also made a video on this, is that women are a consequence, in my opinion. Now, with that said, right, it's kind of like 95, 90%, I'll even give you 90%. You should be focusing on yourself, learning to earn, doing things as an investment into your growth, right? Not chasing women, not wasting time like that, right? I'll give you 5, 10% to do it. You should date to gain experience, but never lock in as a young man, right? You should be focusing on your the wife, the mother of your kids, as you are established and you can do it yourself. You know what I'm saying? That you are a good prize to the woman, right? Because that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother consideration, right? It's that, let's say a guy takes my advice, years pass, and he is the man now. He's making some good money. He has experience, and when I say experience, I don't mean necessarily with girls, but experience like in life. He has a little bit of personality. He can tell good stories. He's well spoken. He's a gentleman. Blah blah blah. Okay, good. Now, you want a woman of the same caliber, a woman going places, right? Any woman that's worth her salt, and this is not even going into the whole topic of what type of girl should she be, but a quality girl, let's just leave it at that, right? They are going to want winners or someone going somewhere, right? And you need to build yourself to be that. Because you always have to ask yourself, why would she be with you?
Right.
Because if you're somebody going places, yes, there's a lot. There's answers to that question. But if you're a fucking loser and the best you got is working at Taco Bell or, working some unskilled labor job, right? You're going to get a lot of trash, to be honest with you. Yeah. So to wrap this up, I think in your 20s, you focus on yourself. You continue to be a Henry. You shouldn't even be thinking about dating. You should be thinking about getting your money right, gaining that experience. Iron sharpens iron, building your network, right? Getting a great friend group that you can build off of, right? And go from there.
Yeah. I think that for a lot of guys who are on their way up fall into the trap of they meet probably a person who would be a really good girl or a good wife for them when they're 30. But because they are thinking that, I don't know if I'll meet a girl this good again, we're going to rush the process so that to lock it in. But then the cost of that is what it takes to maintain a serious relationship or marriage in your 20s holds you back from developing to the professional you're going to be.
Yeah.
Because you can't service both equitably.
Right.
So then you either slow that process down, and then she fell in love with the potential she saw, and then you don't become it. for XYZ reasons, kids,
Right.
this, whatever, finances, whatever. Or you continue on your track of becoming the potential, but she feels neglected because you're so focused on growing. And then you could, or possibly outgrow them, and you grow apart from each other.
Right.
And so I think you have a good point, because it's easier said than done, but a lot of things can go wrong if you rush the process that you wouldn't even see because you don't have the framework to see it.
A lot of things will go wrong. I mean, look at me. I'm divorced.
Yeah, me too.
That-
and I think it's
that's
because I
something
rushed the
that-
process.
yeah.
It was like, hey, I'm going places. I like this girl. We'll make it work.
Right. That's not good enough. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
think I should be there.
Right.
And then, hey, look,
Right.
come on, let's go, let's do this.
Right.
Because I would have had systems in place
Right.
that I already would have established and ironed out.
Yeah.
That would have made life a lot easier.
And I'm not even saying I would even say of that 5 to 10%. Yes, you should be going on dates every once in a while. It's a once in a while thing.
Right.
Gain that experience on the side. But again, remember my formula is 90% you're working on yourself. 95% you're working on yourself. That other 5 to 10, you could gain, marketplace experience of dating.
Right. So that was okay. So like hypothetically, there's 24 hours in a day. 21 hours should be focused on your growth. 10% on fun.
Yeah.
And you still got to sleep.
Right.
And you still got to eat. And you still got to go to work. So really, yeah, I mean, you should no more than 3 hours a day maximum should be spent on anything leisurely.
I would. Yeah.
And that's like maximum,
Yeah,
no
max.
more than
Yeah.
3 hours a day.
And
then think about that.
right.
That means if you go on a date, that means that's it for that day.
Yeah.
There's no watching TV. There's no
Right.
this. There's no friends. There's
Right.
no.
You need to get back.
That's
on
it.
the, right. You
Go
need
to
get
sleep.
back
Go
on the
home.
grind. Yeah.
Or if today you decide to hang out with your friends, well, hey, you better get off hinge and swiping late at night. You get your rest. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that 3 hours, if you think about it, it goes fast because there's a lot of leisure activities you're gonna want to do.
Right.
I like to play basketball. I like to do this. I like to do that. So now you got to think about it. You might only have one day a week where you could even focus on mentally thinking about dating. And then at that point, you have to be strategic with who you allow and don't waste time on.
Right. Well, and I think and I think we can kind of end here too, is that the people you want in your life, either the girl or friends old and new, they need to be assets to your life, not liabilities. And I say that you are an asset to other people.
Right.
When you're dating, right, she should only be with you because you are a man of growing renown, right? Like, you're not a loser. It's a good spot to end.
It's a great spot then.
Well, thank you, Legacy by John. It was a pleasure. I know we'll have some more bangers coming up here. We can definitely hit up the whole dating topic later on, but
Yeah, for sure.
thank you, sir.
That sounds like an empire conversation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. All right, brother.
All right, bro.
Cheers.
Cheers.